Hello and welcome to the All About X-Men Comics podcast, where you'll find recaps and reviews of all the most recent X-Men comics, as well as previews for upcoming issues. Please keep in mind this will include spoilers and adult language. I'm host Scorpio Moon, not always on time, but always here, and hosting with me is...
All new Johnny Alpha, and I'm keeping up with this week's motif.
Alright, yes, because we do have 4 titles with the prefix all new this week. And we're actually going to start off with one of them, All New X-Men number 25, where one consequence of the era of mass renumbering is that 25th issues are a milestone again, but maybe that's not always a good thing. So in this issue, Beast of the present can't sleep. He stays up all night thinking about what he's done, bringing the original 5 X-Men into the present, and how we can't undo it. He can't even send them back. A mysterious person does sort of a Ghost of Christmas Future on him, showing him all sorts of realities that have and could have been, and implies that Beast has caused a paradox that has seriously fucked some shit up. Untold consequences all across reality that we have yet to see even all of. And then as the issue ends, even though we were kind of led to believe it was a visage of Charlie, we see that it's the Watcher.
What was this whole thing to, kind of send to us that, the Watcher came down to fuck with Beast just so he could be a cocksucker one last time before they kill him? I mean, is that what this issue is to signify?
That's kind of what I got out of it, yeah. That's really all the Watcher did was come down and say, Beast, you done fucked up, and I'm going to call you disgusting for it, and we're going to stick me into one more book before I die in Original Sin.
We get kind of a cool little anthology here. A lot of it seemed like it was really rushed, they came up with the idea in a week, and then they just got a couple of guys involved in it and just slapped something together really quick. It's kind of like the feeling I got from this issue.
Well, as we go through all these realities, each time they switch up to a different artist or something like that, and a different kind of visual style to show you all these little pieces of what might, is, and could have been. So you get some funny, some sad, different sketches, different visual art, different focuses on different characters. Maybe part of it is that you don't often spend a lot of time with any of them for it to really feel like you got too much out of it and you get that rushed feeling. But yeah, I'm definitely more on the side of, this doesn't really feel like a fun, great celebration of X-Men-y stuff. This kind of feels like we need as quick an excuse as possible to charge an extra $1 for an issue.
Right. And I was just talking about some of the artistic look of some of it, a couple of the sketches, even though the ones that I found were kind of funny, they look like they were drawn by a 5-year-old that only had 10 minutes to draw it. Right,
kind of a last minute kind of deal.
Right.
Hey, we need a couple more pages for this book. Who's around? Who's got 10 minutes? I mean, some of them were really good, though. I mean, a couple of my personal favorites were Evil Gene, because hot, Archangel in the Nightmare scenario, Colossus on his shiny page, with all the kill marks checked off on his guns. That was pretty brutal. Storm, Psylocke, and Nightcrawler in space. Something about just the real slender, slick way they portrayed that scene.
Well, it's J. Scott Campbell's art. He's always just been able to draw women sexier than anybody else, so... Yeah, and then the spacesuits were really good. Whoever did the coloring for that with him, yeah, that was probably the best looking page out of the entire book.
Any other nominees?
Even though I didn't like the way they were drawn, I liked the funny little sketch that was Wolverine and Jean if they would have gotten married, and you just had Jean in that goofy 90s outfit with the headgear and stuff like that. She's just bitching about him killing ninjas instead of coming home on time, and oh, can you believe the Chamber wants us to go to his 4th of July party? We're skipping that. There was another one that I wish was drawn better. It was really funny. It showed, the love tries and misses of Colossus and Kitty Pryde throughout the years. I found that kind of funny, and, they kind of extended it into the future. And I thought it was a little silly, but really kind of fit with how those poor characters have, had their relationship throughout the years. But, it's never worked for the two poor bastards, so I kind of like that. But... it didn't look nice, you know what I mean? I really wish that, whoever wrote it could have got somebody better to draw it.
Yeah, that one was probably the most representative of what this issue kind of really was, though, because you've got things that have happened, things that might happen, things that could happen. I think the majority of them are implied to be in our universe, but some of them you can kind of see where some of these unforeseen consequences of what Beast has done look like they could be, crossing timelines and crossing universes and really, really, really damaging shit in ways that they're still just only teasing us with. So it is kind of like a past, present, future thing, and some of it is at least a little more real, because you're seeing already, like one of the big focuses that we talked about when we discussed the preview pages was Jean, and what's happened to Jean in the absence of Xavier.
I honestly thought that the Watcher was just being a big dick, because regardless if Beast would have went back to the past and brought the past X-Men to present day, the X-Men will always have a rough patch to walk through. I mean, like, shit's never going to be easy for these characters because they don't go out of their way to make it easy for themselves. I mean, like, when they have a genuine opportunity to try to make a difference, something always breaks out and they end up fighting each other. It just makes their scenario worse. So this whole argument that the Watcher was trying to just make Beast feel bad about is futile because, you know, like, the X-Men are never going to have, like, the bright and shiny future where they're the accepted heroes, you know what I mean? Like, that's not going to happen. And if it does, and I'm probably going to stop reading the damn books.
Yeah, that's probably why there was, like, all of 2 pages devoted to, like, positive futures in the whole anthology, and the rest was just depressing as shit. If it weren't for the fact that Original Sin was coming up and the Watcher is so important again all of a sudden, I almost would have been more willing to believe that this was, like, evil Charlie somehow fucking with Beast, trying to make him even more depressed, so he'll be more likely to join him later in the future or something.
Oh yeah, or his evil twin sister from the Morrison era that was just back in X-Force.
Yeah, or maybe her somehow, because it's just... God, was this issue depressing, man. It was just kick Beast while he's down.
Yeah, he deserves it. And he's going to become a bad guy anyways, so I mean...
Apparently everyone's going to become a bad guy now. Archangel's going to go back to Archangel, and Iceman's going to grow up to be a mindless beast, like... Cyclops is going to get crucified. Like, nothing goes good for no one.
It is the X-Men. I mean, like, honestly, you want happy, shiny, man, go read DC. That's what Superman's there for, man.
Oh, one final thought I wanted to chime in with before we got to the verdict. I was really fond of the cover, too. I love that faded pastel kind of look they give it. That color combination just really worked for me.
It was a little misleading because it actually had, like, the whole team together again, and, like, you don't actually get to see really any of them together in the issue, but, you know, we've covered the X-Men books and the misleading covers so many times, so I shouldn't have even brought it up.
Okay, so thumbs up or thumbs down, and buy it or skip it?
I'll give this a thumbs up. You know, it was entertaining for what it was, and I touched on some points, but skip it, man. Like, out of every issue that we've done for All New and every issue that I've read, this is the only one that, you know, hasn't seemed important at all and just is skip-worthy. It's not worth your money or time.
I'm going to go thumbs up because it does give you some things to think about and some very poster-worthy images. I think that's almost a better way to look at it as just kind of an art book. I'm going to go with skip it because it's very, very thin on story. And I hate using this word, but for an anniversary issue, it just kind of felt like filler. Moving on to Nightcrawler number 1. Now, right off the bat, is he ditching Aaron's Pirate Ships in Heaven story?
And I can't be happier for it. I mean, like, he kind of talks about it in, like, a bubble, and then, like, it's done with, you know? Like, we're going on to what the hell Nightcrawler is going to be doing from here on out. What that asshole wrote in the past, you know, it's not important anymore. Nightcrawler's got his own story, and we're going to run with that. And that's why I really just got into this book right away.
Yeah, he has Nightcrawler say, I died, but fate brought me back. And I was thinking, like, fate, huh? He did it himself. He made a deal with Bamps and sold his soul.
With the Stargate.
Yeah, with the Stargate and the Pirate Ships in Heaven. And now I know an intro like this is meant to be brief, but I can't help but feel that it's just glossing over all that silly nonsense on purpose.
Well, wouldn't you? If you're a Claremont, you're like, well, this guy did all this stuff trying to do my style, and I don't even want to touch it. So, yeah, I'm going to, like, briefly mention it and then do what I want to do.
Yeah, I can definitely feel that, man. Nightcrawler was probably thinking in the back of his head, like, damn it, couldn't they just have found me under the school or something? It would have been so much easier.
Yeah, just like, I was in the not the Phantom Zone, with the Savage Land, and, like, I just appeared there like Psylocke did, and they came and got me. You know, it's like, that worked in the past. Why did they have to, like, Stargates and Bamps and Pirates and... I mean, honestly, I am so happy that like this entire era is just going to get written off and probably forgotten in the very near future. So, like this book is really the first step to doing that. So I'm really happy for that. Like the whole Aaron, Amazing X-Men. Pretty sure that like most people are going to try to just put that behind them, maybe even bury it as much as they can to get away from the smell of it.
Yeah, man, put that under the school. This time no one will find it. Now, where All New X-Men was depressing to all hell, Nightcrawler pretty much turns everything around to the opposite. It's bright, fun, charming, a little sentimental. That doesn't mean that it can't still be a little tense. We open the book with Nightcrawler sparring with Wolverine, and when he starts hitting a bit hard, Wolverine loses his temper, as he is prone to do, and pops his claws. 2 little points on here, though. Did he just ruin his suit? Like, was the suit not prepared for claws to come out of it? Because, I mean, the artist drew it looking damaged.
Well, I think it's like the fabric part, not like the armor part, and like I think that that's easily replaceable. You know what I mean? I think that's supposed to be like, in case like he pops his claws or something. Like if he actually like tore through the nuke-proof armor, then I'd be a little worried. But it doesn't really matter to me, anyways. Like they just threw him in there because the relationship between Wolverine and Nightcrawler is very important, and they kind of wanted to just go ahead and let Kurt acknowledge what's going on with Logan before he goes off on this adventure. And like for the little scene that it was, I think that it actually was probably the best Wolverine's been outside of Savage in a long time. So I'm gonna go ahead and just let that slide if his costume did get messed up.
It's just one of those things that you'll nitpick across books, as I'm prone to do. But yeah, man, I thought all the characters in that were written really well. It already had me wishing that like he'd keep more X-Men in this book more often, so we can have like another really good X-Men book. And I love Storm's new trick of always throwing lightning bolts down in front of Wolverine. Like she's got him trained like a dog. Like she's like that Caesar guy, the dog whisperer or whatever. Like,
yeah, motherfucker, chill. Yeah, and like I really like that they like Claremont just jumped right in where kind of like where he left off, and like he's got Nightcrawler back to being just the little blue pimp he's supposed to be. He got Storm eaten out of the palm of his hand. He got Rachel eaten out of the palm of his hand. If Kitty was there, she'd be doing it too. And then he's got this other side chick that he runs off and sees in this book. So I'm just happy to see that Kurt didn't let dying get him down. You know what I mean? He still got his stable going.
Yeah, man, yeah. Nightcrawler gets to tour the Jean Grey school, catching up with people like Rachel, and it's all very nice. What he doesn't really want to do, or what he really wants to do, it doesn't technically involve the X-Men at all. He wants to catch up with an old flame, Amanda Sefton, and he's just going around and having fun and doing all these things that you need to do when you come back to life. And when he gets to this girl's apartment or house or whatever, they immediately kiss when they see each other. And it's just like, damn, dude, way to go. But it can only go so far before they are immediately attacked by Trimega, a purple-looking dude in a bulky suit. And I like how they break down the fight and almost relate it to testing Wolverine's armor previously. It's not just like, look, the good guy and the bad guy are punching each other in the face. Like, there's a little bit of, like, tactics and, like, what works and what doesn't, and, like, involving physics and stuff like that. It's a smart X-Men fight, I think.
Oh, yeah, definitely, especially with, like you said, using the wall analogy to how he was testing Wolverine earlier. It just shows that, like, Claremont hasn't missed a step, you know what I mean? He's been kind of absent for a little while, but he is still the master that he's always has been.
So which one of them, Nightcrawler or Amanda, was Trimega after? Who is he working for? Why? Those are all questions left for later issues, as the book ends with her, Nightcrawler, teaming up to chase after him. Now, the question I have to kind of ask here is, what do you think we want in this Nightcrawler book more? Do we want more Nightcrawler interacting with the X-Men, or more Nightcrawler out on other adventures?
I think we're going to get to see both, and I'm really happy that we're going to get to see both, and I'm just going to go ahead and let it run its course. I love the art style. It's very, very nostalgic. Like I said, the writing's solid, and it's kind of taking us on an odd Nightcrawler adventure. Like I get what you're saying, and you want it to be more X-Men related, and I think that we'll probably get that with the next arc. But I think that he really wants to establish this as Nightcrawler's book, and it's not going to co-star Wolverine and a bunch of other, people that you get shoved down your throat regularly in other series.
Yeah, man, I was a big fan of the visual art here, too. It's that bright, bold, glossy-looking, a lot of cool color spectrum colors, but still a lot of warmth to it. I really enjoyed that. Oh, yeah, one little nitpick, maybe, going back to the Nightcrawler Wolverine scene. He writes that Nightcrawler says that without his healing factor, the pain of Wolverine popping his claws must be excruciating. I mean, isn't the pain always excruciating? Because, I mean, it's not a pain factor, as they've gone over before. It's just a healing factor. I think it kind of depends on who's writing him. Like, some people say that he's learned to brush off some pains, like popping his claws or, like, bullet wounds, for example. He's like, I've been shot a billion times. I'm used to it. And some people have him going, like, the other way and saying Wolverine has phantom pains for, like, up to months from different wounds he's had. I mean, maybe I'm just overthinking this one part of it. I mean, technically, in his defense, if a wound heals quickly, it would have less time to hurt, right?
Basically, you're thinking about it the way Nightcrawler was, and like you're basically seeing a friend worry about another friend needlessly hurting himself over a stupid cause. I think is more like the reason why he was explaining the pain like that. Personally, is how I saw it.
That works for me. Okay, so thumbs up or thumbs down, and buy it or skip it.
Thumbs up, man. I was a little worried about this book. I don't know why, but like it was just fun. It was exciting. It was a great return for Chris Claremont, and buy it for all the same reasons, man. The art's gorgeous. Chris Claremont is back writing one of his greatest characters that he's ever written, so you don't want to miss this book.
I'm going to go thumbs up. There's not a lot of meat, at least not to me. It felt like another really swift read, but hey, it's still more than All New X-Men. And I'll go with buy it. Especially if you bought All New X-Men, you need something that's just a little fun action adventure to cheer you up a bit. Next up is another all new X Factor number 6.
Before you jump in, I want to talk about how right you were when we were previewing this last week, when you kind of said that like they keep put more colors in, and like I've noticed that like now that the team's actually coming together, there's actually a lot more detail in the artwork. I wonder if that's like actually something that they had planned as a creative team, because if you look at the earlier issues, there was a lot less detail to even the characters, and now as the team kind of comes completely together, so does the color spectrum and the actual detail of the artwork on faces and everything in this title. So that's kind of a neat little thing that you kind of brought up, and like I wanted to just go ahead and like say that I'd noticed too, and like that's pretty cool way to kind of bring a book around artistically and team wise.
Yeah, like a visual metaphor for it. The visual evolving as the cast evolves.
Right.
So it turns out the Magus is operating legit, more or less. He's still a bad guy, but it turns out a competing technovirus wiped out his home planet, so now he's running a business on Earth. And technically, he's not even hiding it. I mean, sure, it's underground, and I kind of wonder how it can keep going up and down so many times and not destroying everything around it. But I mean, he puts the exact address on his business cards. Like, he wasn't in hiding at all. And this is also how he can be working with Warlock, because with his race dying, he decided to give up on the whole father-son kill each other war thing that their species has going on. The team was able to track him down, following back a tracer signal that was left in Cypher by Warlock. I guess having formerly been one person makes you grow pretty close, so he was keeping tabs on him, albeit in the creepiest, most machine way possible.
Right, yeah, especially like putting it above the heart. I mean, like that was a little off-putting. I really like the way that David's kind of touched on something that he did with an earlier run of X Factor, and he's kind of made Cypher the new version of Richter, because if you read the last version of X Factor, Richter was kind of introduced in the same kind of fashion, that he was dealing with some really hard times and he was about to tie his knot off himself, and the team was able to come about and bring him around. And I like that they were able to kind of do that again with a new character, of course in a different manner, but I really like the way that that's the kind of way they're going to make Cypher as on this team, which I kind of think works really well with these kind of odd teams that David throws together. So I'm all for kind of like the odd familiarity that he's doing with this character.
Oh yeah, that's right. I might have almost left that part out, but when we're first introduced to Cypher in this issue, things are not going too well for him, to the point where Cypher was about to take a long walk off a short cliff. And then the X Factor comes in, and they kind of, interrupt him walking out his door about to do it, and they're kind of like, so, you didn't have any plans, huh? It's kind of like a dark humor suicide joke thing. And of course Cypher says one of the best things about being dead is I'll finally have this problem off my back, no more mutants.
Oh yeah, and that was kind of a nice little thing, nice little joke. The Quicksilver, please don't say no more mutants. It's just carries a lot of bad memories with me, a couple of other of us. So yeah, it's yeah.
So they also play with your expectations in this. Polaris wants to fight Magus just because. You know, like she's almost like the audience expecting another fight because that's just what happens.
Yeah, and her line to try to make him do so. We're gonna do it because I say so. Even Quicksilver's giving her shit about that in the jet afterwards. Really, because I say so.
Yeah, those
You really thought he was gonna go for that?
Is them's what passes for fighting words? Like when you're getting your hair dyed green? Like, is that what passes for fighting words? Yeah, because I say so.
We got some really kind of cute robot love popping off on this, man. Warlock's heart is completely consumed by Danger. That's good because, you know, I was like worried that like Gambit was gonna have to like try to get himself like a mechanical penis or something. But like Warlock's totally jumped on that hand grenade for Gambit, so.
And thank God for that, because otherwise this mission kind of would have been a complete waste. And they tracked him down for almost literally nothing other than for Warlock to fall in love with Danger and join the team. It's starting to get a little transparent in that respect. But by next issue, all the boxes should be filled in. No more mystery team members. And we get another member for the team group therapy session. Polaris and Danger both have their anger issues. Now we have Doug, who's suicidal.
Right. So, I mean, that's going to give like this other kind of in-treatment feel to this book, which I think is going to be really fun. Not to mention, we kind of got the weird subplot of the crazy Serval Industries boss wife there, who knows that the secretary is sleeping with them. She wants to know how long and the details, otherwise she's going to start torturing the secretary or something. I mean, it seemed like a really odd exchange, and like that's probably going to play something big in this kind of upcoming arc, which I kind of thought was a weird little exchange.
Yeah, it is weird. Serval Guy's wife totally knows he's cheating on her with his coworker, but aside from taunting her about it, she almost doesn't seem to care.
I don't think she does. Yeah, I think it's kind of like she's one of those people that can use it as like a power thing later on, you know what I mean? Something that she can pull out and use against him at some point, maybe, or something.
Yeah, like maybe there's like a clause where like she'd get a big chunk of the company if there's infidelity and they get divorced or something like that.
I think she's going to try to take it away, and she might actually end up being the bad guy. And he, like I said, he's just kind of like a weird, shady good guy. Because like they're definitely going to have to pull something out with his character like that soon. Either completely make him villainous or show him that he's just like a shady good guy, you know?
Yeah, he's just a good guy who likes a little dirty fun every now and then, as opposed to someone who's evil, which is that word they keep throwing around. I think they even use it on the mages too. They're like, "You're evil, though." And evil people means we have to punch them. That's how this works.
I gotta say, man, I never thought about it when I was a kid, but I gotta say, robots look really cool with beards. The Magus, he has like this awesome like look with that crazy ass robot beard he's got.
Oh yeah, robot beards, man. Not something you always think about, but they happen. Alright, so thumbs up or thumbs down, and buy it or skip it.
Dude, I gotta give this a thumbs up all the time. I mean, until I actually hit a bad issue that like makes me hit the skids or like really makes me question where it's going, I cannot not give this a thumbs up, because this is totally going to become one of my favorite titles probably ever. And buy it, man. This book is just going everywhere you really want an X Factor book to go. We got a great team forming up. You really want to know where Cypher and Warlock are at this point of their lives and careers. So this is an important little book for this budding team.
Thumbs up for another issue that was kind of just innocent and fun. I know I normally rate the dark stuff higher and put down the silly, but this week is helping me to feel like maybe that's just a coincidence. I'm still going to go with skip it, though. The anticlimactic ending makes it a bit unsatisfying, and I feel like they didn't fill it in with anything else. So I'm not going to say go out and run this book right away. Definitely get it at least in the trade. Next up is All New Doop number 1. So how did the Doop contribute to Battle of the Atom? So far by slapping some sense into Triage, but that's about it. The rest of the time he's actually keeping busy by trying to propose to Kitty Pryde.
Well, and he also helped Scott Summers and Jean Grey escape. They would have crashed the Blackbird if he didn't help them out between the margins.
Oh yeah, there were a couple other little scenes like that too. I'm not saying that's the only thing he did, but it's not really about that. At least not too much anyway. At least not in this first issue. I feel like we're still going to be getting a sense of it here. As far as some likes, though, I love Doop and his recording.
Right.
Just the fact that they're even using that again, I think, is good. because that's just kind of something he does. And you mentioned the margins, the way he navigates through the pages as the narrator's voice is describing the way he moves through the margins, almost literally was very cool, very poetic. And seeing him slink in and out of all these events, I think, is going to be a lot of fun.
I liked old Bobby completely cock blocking young Bobby. I was like, why are you being a dick to yourself? But it's like actually something that like you could totally see Iceman doing.
Yeah, he won't give his own past self advice on how to hook up with Kitty. Which coincidentally is exactly what the Doop has tried to do.
Right, yeah, with rancid meat ring and everything.
Yeah, I guess he did it in Doop style. One thing I'm not sure I totally liked was him twisting his mouth to make it possible to speak English.
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, there was, like, several times where, you know, he was begged to try to do that, like, in Ecstatics and stuff like that, and I guess maybe he just didn't care about none of them enough, you know? And, like, he really wants to get down on the kitty, so he was, like, actually willing to like, bust out. But it was weird, but, like, it's the all-new Doop, you know what I mean? Like, just like everything else, but I don't think that really has anything to do with it. I think that Milligan just put that title on it to be a smartass, like he is.
Yeah, probably, and if the Doop is going to go down on her kitty, he's going to be contorting his mouth into all sorts of different shapes.
Right, and we kind of talked about this earlier. You were like, you thought that he would bust out, like, more of a max skill, but I mean, like, honestly, Kitty Pryde's an odd one to crack, you know what I mean? She's, I don't know, so controlled and, like, older than her age and stuff, you know what I mean? Like, honestly, like, I wouldn't know how to try to approach that either, you know what I mean? Like I if I was going to go for either of anybody, like, in that scenario, definitely Rachel Summers. She seems a little easier and a little wilder. Definitely by her outfit, at least I get that impression. But,
well,
yeah.
I mean, the heart wants what the heart wants. I mean, yeah, maybe Kitty's, like, I don't know, she's just a little too mainstream for him, so he just, like, goes for broke. I mean, it's not like I've never seen guys, like, it's not like I've never seen that happen to other guys before. I mean, as far as the mouthing, I kind of feel like, yeah, now I'm just going to be waiting for an excuse as to why he doesn't just do that, like, all the time.
Because probably doesn't want to talk to most people. The Doop's like a little dick. If you've read Ecstatics and the Milligan run of X-Force, the Doop, like, he don't like most people and stuff like that. Even the ones that he's forced to work with. So I mean, like, I think if he probably, like, turns his mouth around to talk to anybody, it'd probably be like Wolverine, because they seem to have a really kind of genuine connection. Maybe Charles Xavier and Kitty Pryde. I think those are probably the only people he'd bust out like that for.
Well, other characters can understand him anyway, which is that funny thing they kind of play with. Like, some people know what he's saying, some people just play along, and some people don't know. I guess it's the kind of thing where I'm still just wondering, is the Doop going to keep being like a game, or are they going to have some consistency to him if they're going to start using him like this now?
I don't think so. No, I think that he's always going to be just like a kind of abstract character that's used in kind of a weird way. So I don't see how they could actually kind of streamline him as a character for, like, a regular book.
Yeah, so probably a Doop miniseries will be enough, you think?
Yeah, of course. I think after this, he'll go back to being just hanging out in the background of the Archie's books and shit.
They do have him popping up quite a bit. I mean, he pops up. Like, whenever you've got, like, a big group of X-Men lately, I've noticed that they throw the Doop in there somewhere.
Right. I mean, he even makes the cover of the Deadpool comic this week, so...
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't have a bigger part in that. It seems like Doop Deadpool would really, really work.
Right. They totally seem like they would be buddies.
So, thumbs up or thumbs down, and buy it or skip it?
Thumbs up, man. Milligan on X-Men again. It's a dream come true. Laura Allred doing the colors. I just wish Mike was drawing it, but it still really had that Ecstatics look to the art with her coloring. And buy it, man. This book is insane. It's fun. It's going to be a nice little read.
I'm going to go thumbs up. One issue in, at least. It looks like they're making it work so far. But I'm going to go with skip it. I'm leaning a little more towards wait for the trade so far. It was a fun little read. I liked it. I'm just not totally sold yet. And now next up is Deadpool number 27, the current Guinness World Record holder for most comic book characters on a comic book cover.
Right, and actually has two Ecstatics on the cover. I was really happy to see the Anarchist standing next to the Doop, which is pretty cool. I was wondering if there was any of the other ones still around, and I really hope that maybe somebody busts out with him. He was a really kind of odd mutant.
Now, there was a little controversy over this. I mean, I didn't research it all fully, But apparently there was some G.I. Joe cover that had like a shit ton of characters and like a DC Infinite something whatever from back in the day that had a whole ton of characters. But I don't know if maybe like those characters weren't all fully drawn or fully recognized and recognizable on those covers because I mean the Deadpool thing like it's on the Guinness World Records site. There's like a picture of like, dudes holding medals with it and everything.
Oh yeah, and there's the rundown at the back of the book. There's like what 230, somewhere around 230 characters completely drawn and recognizable right there on that the two-sided cover.
From what I read, I think there's 236 officially, and then I think it also said on the site that they counted around either 232 or 224 of them as being fully drawn in enough to be publicly familiar and count for the record. I don't want to nitpick the record too much. I mean, it's in the book, it's official, it's there either way, but I did want to address it. There are some people trying to contest it because...
Yeah, who cares about a damn IDW G.I. Joe comic?
Yeah. So anyway, Deadpool might be kind of ugly under that mask, but not to a monster queen of the underworld. Search your feelings, you know it to be true. Bam! Star Wars reference worked into the book again. And so they're getting married. Yep. I'm just going to keep calling them when I see them because it's fun to me. I should be keeping track. But anyway, he gets married in this book a lot.
Right. I mean, well, you get the real wedding book, and then there's like an odd anthology that takes up so many more pages. I mean, there's like 86 pages to this issue. It's unreal for actual just an issue. It's like trade paperback size almost. So yeah, but the actual issue itself, I found kind of really fun and touching that, like Cap and Wolverine were kind of turned him down, but Nightcrawler of all people pops up and like, I will marry you. Yeah, it was like kind of really cute, like he didn't care that like he was marrying a monster even though he was Catholic. Deadpool sitting there like, I wonder if the Purifiers are real priests.
Oh God. Yeah, man. So I mean, despite like borderline kind of sick jokes like that, yeah, the first one, the kind of like straight up in continuity, like moving the events along installment of the book is actually very sweet. It's just one of those happy kind of tales. It almost kind of reminded me of reading like an issue of The Last Days of Astonishing again. Deadpool spends most of the time out of his mask, and he has like the one perfect happy day, and didn't even have to pull his AK, which he also references, and I mean he does get to kill a couple people in it, which he also references, but.
Well, at the beginning, yeah, like, of course, like, he's there with Preston and the other S.H.I.E.L.D. guy. They're like, did we hear you right? And he's like, yeah, I'm getting married. Actually, I'm already married. We're just having the ceremony again for you people, like, the friends and the family. And, like, yeah, you guys are invited. And I had a lot of fun with it, you know what I mean? Like you said, it was kind of like the Astonishing X-Men issues, but way more like, I don't know, Adult Swim, because, like, how insane Deadpool is, they're explaining to a child what a garrote is. Oh, it's a surprise tie, honey. And you know what I mean? It's really kind of odd, morbid humor jokes to it. But, I mean, I don't know. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I looked at the cover, and I was just like, Deadpool's getting married to a vampire. I was really kind of groaning about having to read this, especially when I saw how big it was when I was holding the issue in my hand. I'm just like,
There are 12 backup stories, written by the likes of Mark Waid, Gail Simone, Fabian Nicieza, Danny Way. You've got a lot of people in there, and yeah, I mean, there's a Deadpool for every occasion. I mean, it's technically only one or two occasions. It's mostly marriages and divorces, but I mean, for an expensive-ass comic like this, I think they they make it worth it. Way more than, say, even just the extra $1 on Amazing.
Right. Well,
on All New.
Well, like what the gripe I had with All New, where it looked like they just kind of slapped something together. This looked like it took a lot of time, effort, and love, and they actually got the people to like work on it, and like it doesn't seem slapped together. I mean, of course, like a lot of these, like they're maybe 4 pages at the longest. Some of the short stories, but the art on it's really good. And like as far as like little short anthology pieces go, like they really hit their mark with what this little volume is trying to do.
And it works that they all have some of the same themes running through them still, technically. Some of the same concepts and such that they address. And I mean, I don't know where I want to take this, man, because I don't want to sit here and break down all 12 backup stories.
No, I just kind of wanted to give the people a rundown of, like, what the book is and then probably verdict it, you know what I mean? because we kind of touched on what the main part was, and then like we could just over-explain like how much we know about Deadpool and like how each of these tie into past stories or how they didn't. You know what I mean? Because a lot of them just were made up out of thin air. So I mean, like I don't see the point of trying to break them all down.
All right, man. So thumbs up or thumbs down, and buy it or skip it.
I'm gonna give this a thumbs up, dude. All of the art is very awesome in it. All of the stories, well, most of the stories are you're gonna get like a good laugh or a couple really good smiles out of them, and buy it, dude. Like this is 86 pages of just Deadpool insanity from all the people that made Deadpool the insane little bastard that you've loved all these years.
I'm gonna go thumbs up because there's just so much to enjoy here, and I'm gonna go with buy it, especially if you're a Deadpool fan. Because once again, there's just so many variations of Deadpool in it. Like you're gonna find like your Deadpool and like your kind of humor, and it should just totally work for you. And also, especially if you're not a Deadpool fan, because what better way to get to know him than through so many of these people that have worked on him through the years. Last up for reviews and recaps is All New Ultimates #1. So for their team, they're like a real bunch of teenagers just starting out. Like, you know, in the wake of Cataclysm, in the wake of the end of the Ultimates, you've got this new group in this universe trying to put themselves together and become a team. And, you know, they've got something that they've got, like, you know, high-tech radios to communicate with just each other. But then, like, they don't even know, like, they're like, so should we train? Should we, like, have a practice thing together? Like, every Saturday night? They don't really know how to do it.
The way I kind of looked at this is, it was what I was hoping that the Young Avengers would have been like, but they totally missed the mark. And like I really wanted that book to be good, but it never picked up. And like I understand why it got canceled. But this was it done so much better. Of course, it's the Ultimates version, but I mean, like you said, like it's this goofy group of these kids that are now the only ultimate heroes that there are. And we got Spidey, who is Miles Morales Spidey. We got the Cloak and the Dagger, which pretty much, I don't know, like I can't really tell the difference between like the Ultimate and the 616 Cloak and Dagger. They seem to be like almost spitting image from universe to universe. We got the new Spider-Woman, who has now turned herself into Black Widow in this issue. We got Bombshell, who I'm very new with, but I really like the character. And then Kitty Pryde, who is reluctant to join the team, but you know she's going to, and she's basically the only reason why we're covering this book.
Yeah, I mean, Kitty technically hasn't even joined the team yet. I mean, Ultimate Kitty is in the issue a bit. We see her, you know, dealing with the events from the fallout of Ultimate Cataclysm, blah, 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 blah. And, I mean, I don't know if this is going to be anywhere near as good as, like, the Ultimate Comics X-Men that we covered. But as long as Ultimate Kitty is a part of it, I think we'll still have our interest. And, yes, I mean, as far as her, she's still laying low because they want her to be, like, a new celebrity. You would almost think it'd be, like, a dream come true for like a mutant to be given that much spotlight,
except for her,
pro-mutant.
Except for her, yeah, she's the only one that is like so conflicted with her moralities, especially this version of Kitty that like she's disgusted by it. These people, they made her live on poison land just last year, and now they want her to fucking be on TV and be Miley Cyrus and stuff like that. So yeah, she's like hiding at Spider-Woman's house. And it's like, she's so cute. She doesn't like even sit on the couch. She sits in the couch. She's like phased into the couch. I'm just like, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, so you've got your mutant power use there. And I mean, I think she has a point. It's like the same reason that people love her now. It's the same misguided kind of reason that they hated her in the first place. It's all just public perceptions and racism. And it's like games that she doesn't know if she wants to be part of, especially after everything she's gone through. But yeah, she's going to join the team. Even though she was kind of volunteered for it against her will, she's eventually going to do it. So there should be plenty of her to look forward to in the future, but as far as this issue, thumbs up or thumbs down, and buy it or skip it.
I do thumbs up. Like I said, I love this. This reminds me of the Runaways. This is what I wanted from Young Avengers, so I'm going to say buy this. Not as an X-Men fan, but as a fan of somebody that wants to read a book about young superheroes in a budding team together that are kind of forced to be the heroes because there's nobody else around right now.
I'm going to go with thumbs up. I like seeing the growing pains of the heroes and the way they try and take you through some of the basics of just how being a superhero and doing a superhero team startup works. I'm going to go with buy it. I think it will be really easy to get into, even if you've never read a single Ultimate. I've read other reviews that have said the opposite and said, oh, you've got to know the whole Ultimate Universe. But seeing as they're just starting a team here, I think if you read comic books at all, you've probably gotten enough just about the story through osmosis that you'll know enough to be able to start it.
Right.
Okay, on to the previews. So next time we'll be talking about Amazing X-Men number 6. It's a welcome home party for Nightcrawler in the comic, but on the show we'll be doing a going away party for Jason Aaron. They're having a welcome home party or a welcome back to life party for Nightcrawler, because that's just how it works in this world. But for some reason, Nightcrawler is being emo and not even at his own party. He's like sitting outside in the rain.
It's Jason Aaron getting to ruin Nightcrawler one last time. It's like, why didn't they just let Claremont write this? That way, like, Nightcrawler, he'd be like the king of the party. He'd have everybody laughing, and he'd definitely end up with a threesome at the end of the night. You know what I mean? Especially the way that, like, Nightcrawler number 1, when his welcome back party was definitely a wild night in the sack for that little blue elf.
Yeah, so either way, I mean, it's basically Jason Aaron off the X-Men, so I can't help but be looking forward to it.
Yeah, dude, why do you got to do this last issue? Just go kill the Watcher already, asshole.
Yeah, when does that shit start? In May? Go ahead, move it up. I don't care. It's okay. You've got my permission. All right, so we also get Deadpool vs. Carnage number 2. And I can't wait till these two get some real dialogue with each other. I bet the book really starts to shine then.
Oh, yeah, dude, especially with the setup from the first issue, there's going to be a lot of banter back and forth, a lot of, I don't know, yes, silly is going to be the word to use, but I don't know, it's going to be a lot better than, say, like, Night of the Living Deadpool or Phantom X Max was with the silly. I think that Colin Bunn's kind of really hit his stride with how he writes Deadpool, at least on this miniseries.
We also get to cover Uncanny X-Men number 20.
About damn time.
It's X-Men vs. S.H.I.E.L.D. for real this time, with Cyclops strolling right up to a helicarrier.
Right, I mean, like, if Cap and the Falcon can take 3 down in the movies, then, I'm pretty sure Scott can do at least 1.
I mean, what exactly he's showing up for? Does he want to send a message? Does he want to start a fight? That'll kind of wait to be seen, I guess, but at least we're going to hopefully get some real momentum on this X-Men vs. S.H.I.E.L.D. thing.
Well, they got a pink, badass, fucking floating Jean Grey on their team now, you know what I mean? Like, if anything could take down a helicarrier, I'm pretty sure that can.
Oh yeah, that's right, she's back, so they don't need to steal a spaceship anymore. Damn, too bad, I was kind of looking forward to that. Oh well. We also get to cover Wolverine number 4. So we're still flashing back and trying to catch up to where the series started.
And we're going to get one more twist because this guy can't finish an arc or even an issue without, like, throwing another twist in.
Dude, another twist would probably be a good thing. So what we're probably going to get is, with this issue being the end of the arc, I mean, I would like to think that for this series, like, even with all the little games they like to play with our heads with it, they'll at least give us some answers or some satisfaction. But honestly, I think best case scenario is that it's going to end where it started, kind of, with just him leaving the school. I mean, that's what's on the cover, is him driving away on the motorcycle. I wouldn't be surprised if that's basically where the first arc ends, with just getting back to where it started.
Whatever.
Yeah, so we'll also get Wolverine and the X-Men number 3. Now, I hated the first issue, but loved the second. So for me, this one could maybe be the tiebreaker.
Right. I mean, like, this series, I'm not sure if I like where it's going. I just like that it's going somewhere finally. So really want to see where it is going before I make up my mind. But like you, I really am fascinated with where this tale can actually take off to. I do hope it's someplace good because I don't like hating almost all of the Jean Grey school books. So, I mean, like, they really need to bring a couple of them around to be more likable.
Our cliffhanger from last issue has all our heroes downed by the mystery villain from the future. So once we start fighting back, I mean, will we be happy just to survive the situation, or can we learn more about him in the process? I mean, the series, at least for once, has some momentum, so I'd like to see this issue of it have some momentum too on their first arc.
Maybe a little closure too. So I really like that most of the other books are kind of getting around to having shorter arcs. So I mean, like, that might actually help this book too, to not drag everything out like Aaron did. Yeah,
man, especially if, like, the average lifespan for a book is going to be 12 issues now. If you're having, like, 6-issue arcs, that's 2 arcs and you're restarting already. I mean, the math on that doesn't necessarily work out. But anyway, you're mentioning the Jean Grey school, and some of them are going to show up in X-Force number 3.
Yes, that is the book I've been waiting for you to mention, man.
Yeah, man, Brian Wood's X-Men team, because, Psylocke is part of it, and they're going to be acknowledging that in this issue. It's basically going to have Psylocke going through a day in the life, like as being part of like that team, and then X-Force picks her up for night duty.
So the next one's probably going to be about Phantom X. That's awesome. So, like, we're going to actually get to see what the narrative for all these characters are by the end of the first arc. Man, Spurrier's a genius, you know what I mean? Because we've already gotten Marrow and Cables. Now we're going to get into Psylocke's crazy, pretty little head. And that's going to be a weird, weird place to be, but can't wait to read it, man. X-Force is a force to be reckoned with, and this new series is no joke, man. So this book can't come soon enough. And I can't wait to see what some of the other Jean Grey schoolgirls look like, drawn by Rock Lee Kim. So,
what the jelly mold she's supposed to mean by that, Cal Duncan? That's actually going to be a line that Marrow uses in this comic after Psylocke scrambles her brains for talking shit.
Marrow's so cute, man. She is just such a psychotic little fucking cutie pie.
Man, I am so looking forward to this comic for so many reasons. And speaking of that X-Men team, we're also going to get X-Men number 13.
Cool, because I really want to see where this book goes after that kind of odd, really forced end to the last arc.
Yeah, I hope this book like ever gets to go anywhere. Like, it seems like it just started, then it's Battle of the Atom, and then it's shoehorning in the number 1 point now crap and screwing with that. So, okay, X-Men 13. It turns out Shogo's dad, his birth dad, is a real piece of shit. Like, genocidal maniac bad. And he's about to break out of secret jail, and guess where he's going to be headed?
It's going to be a new villain for these ex-biddies, so I mean, like, that should be fun, and something that, like, you were kind of groaning about them just bringing up old villains back in the last arc, so I mean, that's looking up for at least your opinion.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I mean, they used Archaea for, like, 2 whole arcs in a 12-issue series already. Really. So, yeah, man, I mean, I like every part of that. I don't know how sold I am on the whole Jubilee Shogo thing. Like, Jubilee's storylines just seem so weird anymore. Like, she becomes a vampire, then she adopts a kid. Like, I don't know where this character is going, but hopefully somewhere good here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad to have Jubes back, because, like, she was just so iconic from when I was a kid, and, like, she just was so gone for so many years. And then, like, yeah, they had to turn her into a vampire to try to make her relevant to the X-Men again, which is a really lame gimmick, and I kind of wish that there was some kind of way they could retcon that in some fashionable way that isn't too stupid, but whatever. I'm happy to have her back, and, like, it's Brian Wood. He's one of my favorite writers. He's one of the most talented people in the graphic medium, so I'm pretty sure that he can flesh out something very intelligent and very deserving of a character like her.
So that wraps up all those. Why don't we go ahead now and spike the punch?
Yeah, man, spike it up.
Oh, yeah!
And Johnny Alpha, you're going to lead us off with?
I'm going to be spiking with another Marvel installment, and I got to just say, man, I know we joke, but I am really just in love with this whole all-new idea, because so many of my favorite heroes that have been gone for a while are back. You know, I got Elektra. She's going to have her own book coming up soon. And we got the Ghost Rider, which is different, but I'm having fun with it. But I'm going to be spiking with Iron Fist, Deadly Weapon. And, like, dude, just like Moon Knight, this is a character that, like, I've loved. And he never gets a decent shake. I mean, even when he's got a good series, it seems that nobody picks it up. So I really want to change that, because this book is just on fire. It has great art, and it kind of is a touch of a retcon of the last installment of the Immortal Iron Fist by Brubaker and Fraction, but it kind of takes it in a way that I think that you would actually appreciate it a little more, and they kind of remove that whole Destiny angle like they used in the Green Arrow that we covered a couple weeks ago and so on. We get to kind of a different look at Danny Rand. He's not as optimistic as we're used to seeing him from the previous run. He's kind of more of a forlorn character who looks back at the passing of his family, trying to get to the Kunlun Mountains as like this debilitating factor in his life. And in this, you know, he's being interviewed by this hot reporter, and she's trying to get the secrets of the Iron Fist out of him. And like he almost has this human attachment to her at some point. But by the time that they're done having sex, that's all gone, and he's back to reflecting on his father's death as he looks at the old Randcorp building in shambles, just standing there like a broken tooth out in the New York cityscape, when all of a sudden, you know, he gets his feeling from his power that there's these 2 Apache helicopters come in, and like they just drop these zip lines, and all these ninjas come in after him, and so he jumps out the window and he just starts jacking them all up. Man, he's beating the shit out of them in the air and stuff. And then like he realizes that he blew up the helicopter and they're all gone, so he goes back up to his room. He's gonna take the girl home, and there's like this big Marmaduke ass ninja that has her in kind of dire straits. So we get to see him. He's going to try to use the Iron Fist on him, and it backfires. It doesn't work for some reason. So he just jacks him up with his normal martial arts skills and is able to look really cool in front of the girl and stuff. And, we kind of get this kind of odd character development of this new version of Danny Rand, which is, I don't know, it's a lot different than the kind of whimsical, happy-go-lucky Danny that we had last time. But I got to say, I really like the way this book is starting off.
And after I finished the issue, I turned it back to the front and I kept staring at the cover. I was looking for it to say, like, Iron Fist Max or Iron Fist Marvel Knights or something. I mean, especially with a lot of these all-new titles, I guess they've opened things up to be so much darker. And, this Iron Fist is so brooding. He's like, I drink and I fuck and nothing takes the pain away. Like, it's this very, like, unhappy tale.
Right. And I mean, like I said, it's a bit different than the Iron Fist that we've had before, but I don't know. I mean, like, where are you going to take it? With when the last book was actually very good, it had like almost a successful run, but people still didn't buy it. So you're going to have to like take it and tool it and try to make something new out of it. And the new Punisher series is really garbage, so why don't make Iron Fist the Punisher now?
Yeah, it's like all of a sudden the Punisher's like lighter and friendlier, and everyone else's book is darker than his. I wonder if some of that has to do with AVX. Because they took all that Iron Fist crap in AVX and, like, he's got the power to fight the Phoenix, and they tried to retcon all this extra history into it, and, I don't know, in some ways maybe it's almost an argument against a shared world, because you have to have, like, a character like this who can be a little more street level and gritty, get involved in these kind of things, and it seems like there was some effort to bring him back to basics a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that totally, because like they really made it was really lame, his part in AVX, him training Hope for some damn reason that really made no sense. And then another thing that I'm really happy about this is that ugly ass white Marshmallow Man suit that he was wearing is gone, and he's going back to the green and yellow.
I mean, it might have been simple in some ways, but I thought it was also very smart. Once again, like we talked about Nightcrawler, like breaking down specifics of the fight. Like here you've got him. I mean, he can be smart. He can try and move the fight away from the girl. Like he jumps out the window and it scares the shit out of her. But like you said, he hears the wires. Like he hears the helicopters and all that. He knows trouble is coming. So he takes away from the innocents. Even Superman wasn't smart enough to do that in his movie.
Right.
What's up with his powers fluctuating though?
I think it had something to do with something that giant ninja was packing, because after he took the top of its head off, his fist was back in powers. So I think Davos, or like whoever the villain's going to be in this, has found a way to kind of like use these big Marmaduke guys to kind of depower him, to try to, I mean, like I think that's the only thing I can kind of put together. They didn't really give us too much, and since this is such a different, removed version of Iron Fist from the last, I can't really guess to that, but I think that we're going to definitely get that answer in the next issue or two.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it could be something up with his chi, but yeah, it also seems more likely that maybe that Frankenstein monster had some sort of like a power dampener thing built into whatever it was. And yeah, I mean, any time that you take away the whole fate and destiny, it was always meant to be this, I definitely appreciate it, because it just keeps the story crisper that way to me. But, yeah, man, hell of a choice. You chose another solid #1 out of Marvel. And like you said, as much as we make fun of #1 point now, this / all new, whatever, there is some good shit coming out of it, and you always seem to find it.
Right. Well, I mean, I try.
Okay, and for me this week, I chose Lola XOXO from Aspen. I'm not sure if the XOXO is supposed to mean like Lola Hug and Kiss or something.
Yeah, that's what I took it to mean. Hugs and kisses, hugs and kisses.
I mean, she is supposed to be a somewhat youngish girl.
And really cutesy.
One of the things that draws me into this right away is that it's post-apocalyptic. And I mean, that's why I watch 90% of the zombie material I watch, not even because I've got like a thing for zombies, but because I love the apocalypse, I love the post-apocalypse, I love society trying to start over and what happens when you change the rules. And you get a lot of those typical things here. They cut through the origin story of the apocalypse, the end of civilization, pretty quickly. It's basically attributed to like a number of attacks that start happening all over the country. And then you'll kind of flash forward to it later. But what happens is our main character, Lola, she's a very young girl when this first starts, and she's separated from her parents. They're actually putting her on a plane in like the midst of all these attacks happening. So you get a sense that maybe there was something they knew about. I mean, I don't know if that's going to be the whole thing, because it kind of begs the question, why didn't they go with her? Unless it's supposed to be some kind of a Superman-type scenario that we'll find out more about later. I mean, if we have to find out more about it later, I don't necessarily know how much backstory I really need for this to keep going forward, but basically after it all goes down, Lola is raised by a stranger who honestly looks a little too much like her birth dad at first. I think maybe just because he was also wearing a greenish jacket. I was like, what? She found her dad already? I'm like, oh no, that's a new guy, okay. But anyway, we flash forward to this post-apocalyptic future where civilization has crumbled and started to try and slowly reform itself, and you've got outposts of people trying to get along with each other. And you get the sense that if you go outside one of these outposts, it's very, very dangerous out there. And it's got a lot of things you expect to see. Like, for example, they do trading now, like simple exchanges. I mean, she actually
Bartering.
pays. Bartering, exactly. Bartering, exchanges. She trades 6 bullets for an apple? That seems pretty fucking expensive. I mean, maybe she was just showing him the bullets and she only paid like 1 or 2 of them or something.
Well, I mean, like, you gotta think that, like, yeah, it's expensive, but I'm pretty sure with the way that everything was kind of destroyed, I think fresh produce was, on that kind of level where you gotta, bullets are expensive, but actually having something fresh that was grown is even more, rare and worthwhile.
And when I took my notes on this, honestly, I did kind of nitpick the thing to death. So I mean, take that for what it's worth. I mean, the whole bullets for the apple thing. I mean, I think if anything, if I take the time to nitpick a comic book, it means that I felt it was worth my time to do it. So take that as a compliment. But anyway, so in this new world, this girl, another thing you'll kind of, I don't know if you'll relate to it, Johnny, but she's a little girl who just wants a pony.
Yeah, I feel that way.
Well, that's
No.
But it's one of those things in this world where a horse as a form of transportation becomes very important, and it's also, again, I think almost a bit of a status symbol because you need a horse to become an outpost trader. If you want to travel out to the world, you need to have a horse, and that's where it's almost kind of like that Clockwork Angels I spiked with a couple weeks back, or it's another one of those very similar kind of stories where the young person just wants to go out there and see the big bad world. And so she wants this horse, and when the guys come back from, their recent mission, it also happens to be her birthday. So she's really, really expecting it. Maybe she bought the apple for the horse, but then they kind of punk her and just give her a bike. Because, as you would expect in this kind of story, the adults, they want to protect the younger girl from the big bad world, and that's why they're not ever going to give her no damn horse, because they don't want her going out there.
Well, she's only 16 in it. I mean, she looks like she's a young lady, but she's definitely not really of age to be going out and messing around actually outside of an outpost. At least that's how I kind of took her look, right?
Well, maybe it has a flash forward in the book that shows you exactly how old she is. I kind of feel dumb for not checking now. I mean, she could be 16, she could be 20, I don't know. I mean, she's still just a young lady who, also because it's a comic, coincidentally dresses very provocatively, but hey, maybe it's summertime and it's hot. I don't know. I'm not here to judge. She does have that built-in badass trope, where all you really need is one line about how she was trained to protect herself, and then later you see, after they go to the carnival, and the carnival is, once again, end of world trope, the carnival is a place where they feed people to lions, and they have, these gladiator-style battles, and her, surrogate adopted dad actually wants to take her there to show her how awful the world is that people are doing these things, even in the so-called civilized parts, and that going out there is even wrong. But they get into an argument, and in typical fashion, she decides, fuck this, I'm taking my horse anyway. And she hops on her horse and goes out into the world and goes through some of the routines. One of the first things she does is go to a bar, and drinks moonshine for her first drink, and a bunch of guys want to come up to her and start shit. And like I said, built-in badass. She immediately, kind of hop over bars and grab bottles and stab people and bash them with them. And she can knock out like a whole barroom full of guys. She goes through all this fighting. She goes through all that trouble, and then she gets out of it. Or I mean, she never even really gets out of it. Like there's still more guys coming, but it turns out someone else is on her trail, and they burn her horse with a cigar, and it yells, and she comes out running, and she finds these other random badass and like scary looking people who call her a horse thief.
Yeah, all gas masked out and stuff, looking all scurry.
Yeah, some of them kind of look like monstrosities of some sort. Like I don't know if like they're built out of some kind of Frankenstein-y kind of thing, and so many people wear goggles in this, it almost has a bit of a steampunk vibe.
Well, I mean, if you like watched like Mad Max, or if you played like the Fallout games, I mean, like post-apocalyptic things, for some reason dudes wear goggles. I mean, same thing with like movies like Book of Eli. Like fools be rocking the goggles. I think because like the sand and dust problems from like whatever probably made like most of the plants die. You know, like you gotta have something to protect your eyes when you're out riding your horse. You know, when you go into like the desert or the areas and stuff. So that kind of makes more sense. That kind of makes a lot of sense in my opinion. Especially it looks really cool, especially with the kind of odd rustic art style that the artist has in this book. I mean, like there's very, very gorgeous art in this book. I mean, very, very well depicted, well drawn tale that you have here that really is. I mean, there are some parts where you could be like, it's maybe cliched post-apocalyptic storyline, but it does it in like this odd, like rustic and innocent style that, I mean, it really strikes a chord with most people that should be able to read this and just like, you know, be able to just have a good time with it for what it's supposed to be, which is just, you know, cute chick out in the world for the first time. She can kick a little ass, but there's definitely some people that can kick more, and we'll see how she fares against them. And I'm up for that ride, and this is a hell of a spiking.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I think the visual art is probably the higher of the elements here. It's got this storybook adventure kind of look to it. There's a ton of little detail inside of everything, which also gives it more of a worn look, as opposed to, say, the big, bold brightness of, say, Nightcrawler.
Right.
So that, I think, kind of elevates the rest of the story, because, yeah, I mean, you said cliche, and it's really easy to recognize most of the storytelling elements that they use in this book, but I think it got off to a really solid start, and I think it's got a lot of potential.
Right, and dude, one thing that you can always love Aspen for is, like, it is the title, if you want strong, very well drawn female heroes, they are the imprint for you. You got Iris, you got Fathom, you got several others that they've come out with, which are just, like, really, really exotic and beautifully drawn heroines. And, like, this girl in this book is going to definitely earn her place alongside them in this odd little imprint known as Aspen Comics.
Yeah, Aspen is kind of like Zenoscope's little sister, where like
it's Zenoscope with a little bit of taste, is how I see it. Like, and with actual storytelling.
Yeah. It's like if Zenoscope's little sister was maybe not as like physically hot, like big boobs in your face, as much action, but like she's still pretty good looking, and she's like a little smarter and can hold a bit of a conversation with you.
Right. Amen to that. Okay.
It's kind of how I've always looked at it. Even if I pick apart little things in the plot, like if they really have enough supplies in the winter, what did they go out for? Were they really going to risk their lives just to get her a bike? If it's that dangerous out there.
Well, I mean, a bike. I mean, like, I don't see what her point is. You know, like, a bike is basically a mechanical horse, you know? I mean, like, you definitely get a little more exercise out of it, and, like, I guess like, the horse does most of the work. But, I mean, like, it depends on what kind of bike they got her. She got, like, a nice 10-speed. You know, once you get that bitch going, you know, you just put it in a higher gear, and it goes by itself for the most part. So, whatever, you know? Come on, chick, ride the back.
Or why did the guy at the end burn his own horse? Because the implication when he calls her a horse thief, it's not like her adoptive dad called the cops on her. I kind of got the impression that maybe her dad stole that horse? Or, for some reason, this guy believes it's his horse?
Or or her dad bought it off of somebody that stole the horse, and these people are some kind of odd law I mean, like there's some Clint Eastwood movie that I really like called Hang 'em High that starts with that kind of storyline, which is very applicable, especially with kind of an odd, like, Western rustic kind of feeling story like this one already has going with it. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's how it plays out too.
Okay, so that takes care of our spikings, and now that we're all a little buzzed, let's end the show on some fun segments. Johnny Apple, what do you got this week? How about an In Your Face?
Okay, and my in your face is to the Beast. Or no, my in your face is to the Watcher. Because, man, you're coming down here and you're just being mean to the Beast because you know your bitch ass is going to die soon. So just leave well enough alone. In your face, fool.
In your face! In your face!
And my In Your Face is to Jason Aaron. Hey, Jason Aaron, 5 issues of comic just got, like, retconned into 4 sentences of monologue. In your face!
In your face! In your face!
And how about a sexy moment, a sexiest moment of the week?
Oh my.
Okay, and my sexiest moment of the week is a revisitation of one of my favorite sexiest moments from Battle of the Atom, and that's the Rachel Gray and Kitty Pryde hitting the refried Chinese food.
Oh, yeah, that's right,
And
they
all
did
new-
revisit that scene.
And all new Doop #1, yes.
Yeah, they'll probably be revisiting a bunch of scenes, but to hit up that one in particular and get just a little bit more of a scene that we both really enjoyed is very sexy. For me, my sexiest moment is Deadpool's super strength wife in Deadpool #27. Now, there were a lot of various scantily clad women looking very sexy in Deadpool #27, so you can almost wrap up that whole book as sexy, but I thought the super strength wife was depicted especially sexy, and the whole idea of superhero sex is sexy in and of itself. She gave him some pelvis-breaking action.
Good thing he's got that healing factor.
Yeah, he needed it. And to wrap up the show, how about a Too Cool for School?
You think you're too cool for school?
Okay. And then my too cool for school is Nightcrawler, man. That dude, he ain't even been back from the dead for like 2 issues. And like I said, man, he's already got like just chicks. He's got Storm, Rachel Gray, and then this magic chick, man. I'm like all ready to just like give it up to his little furry blue ass, man. Like Nightcrawler is too cool for school, brother.
Oh man, you stole mine, but I don't care. I'm totally not changing it, man. Nightcrawler was just way too cool for school. I mean, he was literally too cool for all the chicks at the school because he went out somewhere else to get them. But yeah, Nightcrawler just had all the women eaten out of his fuzzy little hand. Nightcrawler was even smoother than the Doop this week in X-Men Comics. Full archives of all our episodes are available on allaboutxmencomics.com. Thank you to psn-radio.com for broadcasting our show and for also sponsoring our official site. Don't forget that our social media home is www.facebook.com/allaboutxmencomics podcast. Join us there, otherwise we'll see you next time you decide to hit play.